Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, no matter, will make more than a max contract and endorsements if they stay with the Fever. But Lexie Hull has been spotted back. This is a tweet from Birdology, and this is from obviously Lexie Hull's Instagram. Has Lexie Hull posted anything else on her Instagram?
Lexie Hull has just entered the Indiana Fever facility, and social media is in full meltdown. But let's cut through the noise for a moment, because what you're witnessing isn't your typical off-season gym session. This is a high-stakes franchise-shifting power play that will determine whether the Fever becomes a dynasty or fades into the shadows. Let us get one thing straight. We're not hoping Lexie Hull returns. We're treating her comeback as if it's already confirmed. And if that sounds arrogant, it's because you haven't been paying attention to the economy. The WNBA would rather you didn't realize this. However, Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham are likely to make far more money living in Indiana adjacent to Caitlin Clark than they would ever make on a max deal elsewhere. This is not about a slightly higher wage. This is about life-changing endorsement money and generational wealth, not just a nice rise. And for everyone in the comments who is about to give a lecture about loyalty or culture, please be mature. This is professional sports. Players have approximately a decade to ensure their financial future. Do you really believe they'll choose a rebuild in a random market over the Caitlin Clark economy? Be serious. Birdology captured Lexie on Instagram in the Fever facility with trainers Keith Porter and Rob Dorr. Rob is fooling around with trick shots. Lexie is fully committed, and the internet is treating it as a typical off-season grind. It is not. Lexie Hull is expressing her plans. She is sending a message to every other general manager in the league. I am staying where the money is. I'm staying where the lights are the brightest. I am staying where championships are made. Now, let us address the point that no one wants to bring up. Keith Porter is still wearing a walking boot 3 months after ripping his Achilles. 3 months. That is not terrific. An Achilles tear is a devastating injury. A 9 to 12-month healing time frame. Something doesn't seem right in this boot. I ripped my Achilles. I wore that boot to my college graduation. I got a pulmonary embolism, which slowed my rehabilitation. So I'm not guessing here. Seeing Keith still hooked inside that device raises serious concerns. Questions regarding the Fever's medical timeline. Concerns about whether players are being pushed too quickly. But let's get back to Lexie, because this is where it gets fascinating. The fact that she is back in Indy, working alongside Fever staff, significantly increases the likelihood that she will not leave. That is not speculation. That's how this league operates. Players that spend their off-season in the building nearly never leave for free agency. You know who we don't see at the facility? Brianna Turner. And before Turner supporters rush in, I believe she still has a good chance of returning. But the reality is difficult to deny. There is no daily training facility content, no constant collaboration with team members, and no indication that she has been incorporated in the same way. That explains everything about who the Fever is prioritizing. Turner averaged 10.4 points while playing for the Perth Lynx in Australia. Yes, it is solid. Not quite dominant. Though, yes, defense is her calling shoot, but the current WNBA requires two-way play. Lexie Hull offers something to the game that cannot be taught. You can't teach that kind of hustle. You cannot create her all-out toughness. You cannot train a player to give up their body for every loose ball, charge, or scrap possession that shifts momentum. Does this imply she needs to be a starter? That's when things get tough. If you ask me who is a better all-around player, Sophie Cunningham or Lexie Hull, I will choose Sophie. That is not contentious. She is the more sophisticated scorer, the more consistent defender, and the better decision-maker. But this is where Lexie separates. As a defensive specialist, Lexie Hull excels at one particular skill, drawing charges. That is her superpower. Can she keep Ryan Howard or Khalil Copper in isolation? Absolutely not. Those gamers will destroy practically anyone with sheer speed. Lexie isn't built to keep up with them step by step. That's why Kelsey Mitchell ends up winning those matches. Lexie Hull, on the other hand, is your worst nightmare if you're a guard who enjoys using screens, values physicality, and leans into contact. She'll hook you into 2 offensive fouls before halftime, knock you out of rhythm, and get into your head until you're more concerned with her placement than your own game plan. That kind of disruption cannot be taught. Remember the playoff game against Atlanta? Lexie secured the victory with the final defensive stop of the night. Plays like that don't make headlines until they decide a postseason series. Now, allow me to be honest. No one realizes how important a defensive instigator like Lexi is to winning a title. The WNBA does not have enough historical data to determine the correct formula. But here's what is obvious. Lexie Hull is the best player in the league at creating defensive disarray. Sophie Cunningham, on the other hand, is a quite different defender. She is a wall. She is meticulous, makes you work for every look, and rarely takes risks, yet she lacks the foot speed to outperform great shot makers. Two defenders with different styles, both valuable depending on the matchup. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a rotation in which either of them begins at 3 depending on the opponent. That's a problem every club would like to have. But here's the larger truth. The Fever's priority isn't to choose between Lexi and Sophie. The objective is to maintain the entire core intact. Sophie, Lexi, Caitlin Clark, Elia Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. Those 5 guys provide the recipe for dynasty. If you lose even one, everything becomes unstable. Also, keep KK Hammond. She might not get much playing time next season, but upside is important in this league. Once those 6 are secured, Indiana can begin hunting. Then they may spend whatever it takes to gain legitimate power forward. Someone who can fight inside. Someone who can defend Breanna Stewart and A.A. Wilson without being harassed. With that missing element, the Fever instantly become legitimate championship contenders. Without it, they are one Natasha Howard performance away from heartbreak. Because, let's be honest, Alyssa Thomas completely demolished her in the postseason. That matchup was not close. Indiana is only one power forward improvement away from becoming the favorites to win it all next year. And the reason they can pull it off isn't just talent. It's continuity, chemistry, and a core that's been through postseason battles together and knows what it takes to win. That is why Lexie Hull's appearance at the Fever facility is not just wonderful news, but crucial. It's the difference between maximizing Caitlin Clark's prime and waste it. And here's the uncomfortable fact that no one wants to admit. Caitlin Clark is on a clock. She has about 5 years before the league adjusts to her, before mileage and injuries begin to set in, and before the window shifts. 5 years to create a championship-caliber roster. Indiana cannot afford to be tardy in its development. They need to move right now. Resign now. Lexi, get that power forward now. Since if they wait until Caitlin reaches a physical peak, it will be too late to begin building the house around her. This offseason will determine the next decade of Fever basketball. Lexie Hull is now working out in Indianapolis. That's the first domino landing exactly where it should. Is it a guarantee she'll stay? Of course not. Free agency is unexpected. Agents negotiate, and teams call. Nothing is official until pen puts pen to paper. But as an Indiana fan, I can breathe better tonight knowing Lexi's decision to spend her offseason in the building matters. Presence is important. Proximity matters. The relationships you form with staff and teammates throughout the offseason have a significant impact on where you sign when the offers come in. Lexie Hull is currently developing those ties in Indiana. So let me put it to you. Is Lexie Hull sticking with the Fever, or is this simply smoke before she signs elsewhere? Share your opinions in the comments. I'd want to hear your opinion. And if you believe the Fever are on the verge of a dynasty, hit the subscribe button. The WNBA offseason is going to get wild, and Lexie Hull's decision could be the catalyst that alters everything.